So job hunting recently has been the biggest pain in the arse that I've ever seen at any point. So just for reference, I've been looking actively for a new job now since around November of 2025. During that time, as you imagine, have sent fucking hundreds of applications, like about 30 a day, do that over a week. I'm not a maths person, but just do the numbers, like it's pretty fucking high. And during that time, I've had since last year about maybe like 10 interviews, and only literally last month I've been offered a position to start in July. So it's essentially taken me the better part of like 9 fucking months to get anywhere. And it really got me thinking of like, holy shit, like everything really is just cooked in this generation. Like, if we look at a medieval peasant for reference, like they had it so much fucking better than us. Like, yes, they were a medieval peasant, blah blah blah, but on average they had more holidays, had more free time. Those motherfuckers were arguably happier than what we were, just given the parameters of what they had. Like, yes, they were never like aristocrats and whatnot, but at least they had freedom. They were able to work outside, be outside, friends, go to the tavern after work and get mead. Like, it was just genuinely a lot easier on paper back to be a peasant back in those days. But going into like all this job searching shit, I used to like, carry in my mind sort of what my grandma would used to say to me. It was like, "Oh, go to university, get a degree, and just you'll get be better than what like I had in my generation, in like the 50s and the 60s." And looking back on it, like it was solid advice at the time, but holy shit, like how things have transpired into a completely different way. It's like back when I was younger, my nan would always say like, "Oh, just walk into a shop, give a CV." My mum would be the same. You need to go make that personal connection. It's like, bro, everything's through Indeed now. And fuck Indeed, man. Like it's the bane of anyone's existence when they need to get employment. And we'll like, go into a further deep dive on Indeed later, but just fuck Indeed. I feel like a lot of people probably agree with me on that one. So I went to university for a whole semester, and for those that don't know UK university times and whatnot, that's about 3 months from September up until like the new year rolls around. Like it wasn't long at all. But during that time, I joined a couple of like clubs as you do, and one of them was the rugby league group, and in that group there was a lot of third years, and all of those guys who had spent 3 years on a degree, doing dissertations, studying this very specific field, their biggest worry at that point was like, I'm not employable to any capacity. Like, I'm going to be struggling to get a job at McDonald's or Burger King. And those are people that, like, at that time are like 90 grand in debt. And at that point, it clicked for me. I was like, shit, like, qualifications really do mean fuck all. Because at the time I'm in university, I've got friends who have got like no experience in certain fields being picked up for apprenticeships, and it dawned on me at that point, and even to this day, it's still the biggest regret of my academic career, was choosing A levels and not doing a physical apprenticeship in like mechanics or plumbing, engineering, whatever. Because fuck me, like being on like 80 grand a year at this point would be fucking fantastic. At least I'd be able to live to some fucking degree. But even when you see in the news, like you have all of these uni graduates all over, like Good Morning Britain, or even like CNN and shit if you're in America, where they've done the degree and it could be in something like law, economics, business, tech, IT, AI, and none of them are getting anything. And it's all because the requirements for what these employers are expecting is just fucking ridiculous. Going back to medieval peasantry, as long as you had 2 legs, 2 arms, and you could breathe and speak, you were good enough for whoever you were serving at that point, because you could go tend to the fields, look after the stables and the horses, feed the pigs and the cows. But now it's like, oh, sick, you've just graduated uni. Now, we expect you to have 5 years experience in this field that's actually only just come to light 2 years ago. It's like, bro, how? Like, you're asking me to build the Burj Khalifa out of sand, essentially, at that point. Like, it makes no fucking sense. Like, I'm convinced that they just want us to be like gestures to them and just jump around and like entertain them. Like, haha, look at the stupid idiot that's definitely not going to get hired anyway. So it's almost like, what is the point of spending 3 years and going 90 grand into debt for worth it? It's really fucking not. Going on to Indeed. Oh my days, I hate Indeed with a fucking passion. The amount of ghost jobs, and what I mean by ghost jobs, and it's pretty self-explanatory. It's a job you apply for that just simply doesn't fucking exist. And the amount of them that are coming to light, at least while I've been job searching, holy shit, like I don't know how they're getting away with it. From what I've researched, and like I'm no means by like an economic expert or whatever, I mean fucking hell, I barely passed A levels at college, but from what I can gather, when companies are like trying to get stocks and shares up and look like they're investing, a lot of these ghost jobs get pumped out to prove to shareholders, if you will, like, oh look, we are actually expanding and we're getting better and whatnot. But obviously to us, as people looking for employment, it's essentially just a backhand. It's almost like, lol, don't even waste your time with this. But it's impossible to tell which one of these is a ghost job, because they're all the same. So on paper, you're going through all of these applications, you're putting your CV to be asked to essentially input everything that you've got on your CV so AI can scan through it and pick up keywords and shit. And it's literally for nothing, because you'll never hear from them. You won't even get a rejection email, which is like, I hate rejection emails, everyone does, but at least I know someone's looked at the fucking thing. It's better than just getting radio silence out of nowhere, which is what a lot of these companies are doing now. Fucking 0-hour contracts, man. Luckily, these have recently been banned in the UK, or at least they're in the process of getting banned due to like an employment right bill. Good rare things that this Labour government's actually done, but we're not getting political on this channel because Jesus Christ, I don't have the energy. But 0-hour contracts are literally a scam. So, oh yeah, you look employed, but you're not guaranteed anything. And it's like, what's the point of that? Like, if I'm wanting a job, I'm clearly wanting to work. And if I'm wanting to work, it's clearly so I can live. Like, it's not going to be for anything else. If I didn't have to work, I clearly wouldn't be working. Like, it's one of those. It's so stupid. But these 0-hour contracts, again, it's another way for companies to be like, look, we've got a lot of staff and we look after a lot of people, we do a lot of shit. But they don't necessarily say like, oh, a lot of these people, like, we're giving like 2 hours a week to them. Fuck them. Like, none of that ever gets brought up into the conversations, at least from what I've seen. It's just like, bro, like 0-hour contracts. I remember when I first started joining the workforce and I got given a glass collector role on a 0-hour contract. And it was like a good 3 months of nothing, and then they expect me to just pop out of the wilderness, and 4 months later from that, and like, oh, we need you in for today. Like, no, that's not how it works, man. At least to me, my mentality is, if they're not going to respect my time, I'm not going to respect theirs. Like, it's a very simple mindset, but like, I just don't have the time to be fucked around by someone who's got way more money than me and way more power. Like, I'd rather just fucking move on, pack my bags and get on to the next load of bullshit that I have to deal with. But then you've got the job market itself. I don't know if any of you have been on Indeed recently. At least where I'm located in the northeast England, like, it's already rough as it is. There's not a lot of opportunity up this way anyway. But every single job advertisement is a customer service representative in a call agency just doing the same shit on a different company's name. And once you've, say for example, you go to a call center and you quickly establish like, okay, this is not the environment for me. Like, in no capacity do I want to stay here long term. That's literally what I am in right now. But you can't then leave that job to go to another call center, because the experience is going to be the exact same. It's just going to be a different environment and the same shit experience regardless of where you're at. The job market's so oversaturated with this, it's a joke. There's literally no different opportunities. When I was in school, all the teachers would ever say to me is like, once you leave education, there'll be so many entry roles over different sort of like demographics, if you will, of like construction and like IT, tech, and just all of this shit. But literally now there's no entry level roles. Entry level roles, you need like 2 years minimum in a field. But how are you meant to get the 2 year minimum experience if no one's going to hire you unless you've got said experience? And again, going back to the graduates, like a lot of these graduate roles, it's like a year experience, 2 year experience. Like there's having like an internship while you're in uni, but you're still not going to have the full experience of, as someone who has literally worked in the role. But if you're not going to be given the chance and they're not going to take the gamble on you to do the fucking role to get the experience, then how are we meant to get it? And it's just this vicious cycle over and over and over and over, where like nobody other than the company wins in retrospect, because they're still the ones that are making money. Whereas you're just going around in circles, banging your head against a wall, literally dealing with the same like requirements over different companies, and it's exhausting, man, honestly. And then even when you get into certain roles, for example, there's no progression within these roles. Take my call center that I'm at now, for example. Like, I've been manager in retail and also in call center, like in terms of step up team leadering. And I got dragged off the phones to cover a team and train them for 6 months at this place I'm at now. And after those 6 months, they needed to hire someone permanently. And naturally, you try to apply to it when you're already doing the role. But these guys turned around and said, I'm not expendable enough, I'm too valuable to be taken off of the phones permanently, because they need someone who can do the grunt work and, make the fucking money for the company. So they hire external. And it's at that point, what's the point of having loyalty to any sort of company that you work for? When I was growing up, my grandparents and my mum would always say, find a company that's relatively nice, you enjoy the work, that's the main thing. Stay, graft it out, grind your way through the ranks, and, you'll end up at the top, essentially. I feel like a lot of people probably got the same pep talk. In 2026, that just fucking ain't happening. Unless you're making your own business, which isn't for everyone. Like, I can't say I wake up and have genius, like, unbelievable business ideas on a random Thursday afternoon. But if you can do that, then you're obviously not in the conversation. You can just promote yourself straight to boss and, fuck off and do whatever. But if you're not even going to be getting the chance to, say, like, cover a small team, lead a project, or just do something above your station, then how are you meant to progress? Where's the loyalty and sort of the inspiration from the company for you to be like, okay, I'm going to sit and graft and I'm going to put in loads of overtime. I'm going to go above and beyond. I'm going to put my hand up and always help out other people. Where's the sort of fucking drive to do that if you know you're not going to get anywhere? When you join certain jobs and you see like Ross or Steve, who's been there for 15 years and he's still at the very bottom of the ladder, and when they tell you that, like, no, we have tried everything, and like that straight away snatches the hope from you, and you just sat there and you're like, well, what's the point? Like, yes, it'll pay the bills in the meantime, but when you're going to work, obviously you want some satisfaction. There's only so much you can take in terms of dull enjoyment. Like, if, at least for me, if I'm going to work, I want some form of satisfaction. I want to be satisfied with what I'm doing. And admittedly, like, not every job's going to give you that, but you need to find something that's going to give you at least 1% of satisfaction. But when you get in these roles where even the most senior people are dead inside, it sets the tone and precedent really fucking early for your employment, and it's almost like, what's the point? Then you got the obvious cost of fucking living, man. Everyone's sick of hearing about it, but it's just the world that we live in, man. Like, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer, innit? It's literally one of those. Companies obviously becoming more stingy, but then you see in big companies like Tesco take 3 billion profits while everyone else is struggling. You're seeing cheese go up by like £1 every other week that you're going in the supermarket. They've got it on record that it's apparently going to be like milks, eggs, cheese, things like of that nature that's essentially going to be the most expensive food within the next 5 to 10 years if it keeps going the way it is. and they're just putting profit before people, and that's capitalism, I suppose. Again, we're not on a political rant on this one, but that's what capitalism is. It literally is all about profit and companies, big business and whatnot. But it is what it is, and it's just hard, man. Like, it's almost like the common man no one gives a shit about. And I've seen it my entire life living in the north of England. If anyone doesn't know, say like Americans or other Europeans, the north-south divide is ridiculous. At least the northeast where I grew up in, holy shit! Like every time I've travelled down to the south of the country, it's like I've walked into the stereotypical Harry Potter-esque fucking London. Like it's ridiculous. But at least in the north, the lack of investment since the 80s, like thank you Margaret Thatcher, I fucking suppose. Um, but due to the lack of investment over those like centuries, really, the north is like fallen behind drastically. We've got the highest bit of unemployment, but also like the highest bit of murder, crime, drug. It's obviously like we're topping the charts in everything you want to be bottoming, really. But there's no companies willing to take that risk on those underprivileged areas. And you see it across other countries in Europe, like Romania. I've got friends from there that have came to the UK for just job opportunity and prospects. Greece as well. I've had a couple of friends from there when the financial collapse happened. So it's not something that's just restricted at least to the UK. But you'd think in 2026 there'd be some form of common sense where it's if your whole country is winning, everyone's winning. It's literally in the phrase, the whole country is winning. But obviously you get these high 1%ers that literally just only care about themselves and their profits and the yachts. The only person, in my opinion, who can do that is Gabe Newell. The man has created the most perfect monopoly with Steam. He is the only man who should be allowed to buy his 6th yacht of the year. With that, like, you've got housing is fucked, especially in the north of England. There's just nothing. Like a lot of southerners at least coming up to the north to buy it at the cheaper discounted rate in comparison to London, and then just slagging off the north, at least from what I see on Instagram and TikTok and whatnot. And you've got like insurance companies through the fucking roof. That's a completely separate video that I'm going to be working on at some point. And like livable wages, man. Like even in London, I know I've sort of slated them just then, but even in London, the financial capital of Britain, their wage just isn't livable, man. Like I'm seeing their rents at like £2 a month, and that's insane. Like that's absolutely ridiculous. I've got a friend who's a police officer down south, and she like barely gets by, and that's a public servant. You'd think that they'd be like genuinely good compensated people, but no. Like even shit like that, it's just ridiculous. But everywhere's fucked, and the job market being so shit isn't going to help any of this anytime soon, and it needs to just click in someone's brain that this is where the problem sort of stems from. And then the last part, the rise of fucking AI, man. I seen it on a interview on a BBC radio show, and it was a college graduate or uni graduate, however you want to say it, and he basically was about to start work with a company, and a week prior got an email that the position had been pulled from him. When he called up the person who had interviewed him and agreed to hire, the guy just turned around and was like, "Oh yeah, we're actually testing out a brand new AI system that's just fully replacing the role." So if they're doing that to graduates, how are we meant to compete with that? The only sort of hope we have to combat AI, at least in my opinion, is one of two situations. Is we all stop using ChatGPT and the phase dies out and they realise, wow, we've just spunked a whole load of money onto nothing, which is what I'm hoping happens. Or you've got situation 2 where it's going to be like Sarah Connor Simulator, man, and we're all just going to have to fight T-800s and shit in the wasteland. But in terms of the AI rise, like it's not helping anyone other than the people that have invested in it. People like Nvidia, ChatGPT. I can't remember the guy who runs it, but like even he looks like a robot himself. And then you've got fucking like Google branching out into data centers now, Meta as well, and then big Elon, man, doing what he does best and just doing anything to make more money, man. But when you've got things like that, like what are we meant to do is the common average guy, like we're not going to be able to recite all bits of information in 0.2 seconds because it's stored in the database. Like what are we meant to do to combat that? The only sort of upside is it's not going to really be able to take certain positions and certain roles. You know, like you've got like teachers, I'd argue that you probably can't replace them, like medical professionals and things like that. But even then, the way things are going, fuck knows. That's at least my thoughts and my fucking experience over the year. Can't wait to be starting some employment so we don't have to complain about Indeed anymore, at least for another year or so until I'm sick of this job. But let me know in the comments below, what's it been like for you guys in terms of job hunting? Has it been as much as a pain in the ass as it has been for me? Or have you guys just, you know, got daddy's company that you can just get bought into? Who knows? But let me know in the comments. Please consider dropping a like and a subscription, helps out massively. But enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.